Heartbreaking story of sex education actor George Robinson paralyzed at 17. If you, like us, are a fan of sex education, you'll be familiar with Isaac. Today, we will tell you the heartbreaking story of the actor behind this iconic character. So stick around till the end and do not forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Now, let's begin. Sex Education is one of the most popular shows on the planet due to the way it deals with forbidden subjects and the ideal balance of drama and humor. The new part in the series, which deals with molestation, homosexual stereotypes, divorces, love, and unplanned pregnancy, features some powerful performances. As we watched his uncertain morality come between Maeve Wiley, played by Emma Mackey, and Otis's, Asa Butterfield's, love story, Isaac's character has garnered a lot of popularity. Regardless of spoilers, the introduction of a disabled character has created quite a stir. However, only a few people are aware that George Robinson, who plays Isaac, is paraplegic in real life. Robinson, now 23, has always wanted to be an actor since he was in elementary school. When I was in year 9, the school I was at were doing a production of Les Mis, and I was doing drama at the time, but I wasn't 100% sure and I didn't audition for it. And then when I watched the production, I got really annoyed at myself for not getting involved, and I vowed to myself, never again. I just kept on pushing for it and did a few of the school plays. What is paraplegia? Paraplegia is a spinal cord injury that causes paralysis of the lower limbs, causing serious damage to the spinal cord and nervous system. It primarily affects the trunk, legs, and pelvic region, causing mobility loss. How George lives with paraplegia. Robinson tragically suffered a spinal cord injury while playing rugby for Stamford School during a rugby match against DF Malin in Cape Town while on tour in South Africa when he was 17 years old. The C4 and C5 vertebrae in his neck were shattered. He discusses how this has influenced his desire to pursue a career in drama. He's been in a wheelchair ever since. Robinson's dark sense of humor shines brightest when discussing the 2015 rugby accident that resulted in a severe spinal damage. "I was shit at rugby," he jokes. "I am quite gangly and long, so all I did was catch the ball and fling my body at people, hoping for the best. For 17 years that went really, really well. There were definitely 3 or 4 earlier times when the same thing could have happened, but I got away with it." Once you have the right infrastructure in place, living independently with a spinal cord injury can be quite simple. I have a personal assistant who helps me cook, get me up in the morning, and do things around the house. I also use a power chair. Mine is essentially a manual wheelchair that has been retroactively fitted with powered wheels. It's fantastic, it's really lightweight, and helps me get around freely. Back up. After spending 37 days in a South African hospital, he went back to the UK. While he was undergoing rehab, he met Andy from Backup's services team. He has a high-level spinal cord injury like him and was also injured in a rugby accident. He introduced him to the support services Backup offer. But more importantly, he showed him that there is a future after spinal cord injury. He was living proof of that. Once George came out of hospital, he went on a wheelchair skills course for 18 to 25-year-olds in Leeds, which really helped him. He says it was great to be around people in similar situations, share stories, and have a laugh. And he is really grateful for it. University and the so-called normal world wasn't so smooth sailing. I had been wondering about going to drama school before that, but again, this injury made me sort of reconsider where I was at. When I came out of hospital, I finished my final year of school and considered trying for drama school. But at that time, I wasn't really sure of myself, and of myself as a performer. So I decided to go to university to study philosophy, says Robinson. My experience at university, I wouldn't say was particularly amazing. I don't think that was necessarily the fault of the university at all, but because it came too early for me, in terms of adjusting. I had this hugely life-changing event, and then I went back to finish my final year at school. But that was my old school, with people that I knew, teachers that I knew, buildings that I knew. I knew which buildings I could get in and out of. And going to university, all of a sudden, I was in a much bigger city, in places that I didn't know, with people I didn't know, and it was a bit of a shock. Robinson felt that was becoming more insular, and that's where drama and acting helped him out. He recalls the adjustment as tough, with acting serving as a diversion from some of the difficulties he encountered. I did a few plays with a guild of students, and then I took a screen acting class locally and applied for an agency, and it all seemed to spiral from there. My second audition was for Sex Education. The casting call for Isaac was essentially a list of qualities, including smart, dark sense of humor, plays off negativity with sarcasm, and so on. The casting call called for a disabled actor, but no specific disability was stated. And I sort of read that and went, yeah, I can do that, says Robinson. The production team announced that as part of the call, they would write the character based around who we cast. The script Robinson initially read was for someone who was an amputee. According to George, such a call clarified that Netflix would manage the boring mechanics of a particular impairment. When asked if he felt under any pressure auditioning for the second season of such a successful show, he shrugged. I sort of demoted it to the back of my head to, I've got an audition for a Netflix show, that's good enough in itself. And also I sort of ignored my uni work, so I was really prepared for it. In terms of coming on to sex ed, I was just excited to be a part of it, really, and just join in with these people that I'd seen. Part of my audition process was a chemistry read with Emma Mackey, and she was really helpful in that process. Response from the audience. The nature of the online reaction to Isaac's status as Season 2's antagonist sheds light on the nature of social media fandoms and celebrity. Many people on social media expressed their displeasure with Isaac's antics, but a small group of people has continued to make fun of his condition by uploading memes and gifs of wheelchairs being pushed downstairs or burned on fire in retribution. Robinson said he paid attention to the messages, which included threats from people threatening to harm Isaac if they saw him in public. When it comes to trolling, the problem is a lot of discussions online about Isaac are often only communicated through memes. This is inherently problematic because it's a very superficial visual medium that requires us to add the context. I like to assume that the reason most people hate Isaac is not because of his wheelchair, but because he's not necessarily likable. However, the only way memes can communicate this is presented physically, through the wheelchair. It doesn't make it right at all. It shows there's still a long way to go in terms of how these issues are presented and how people talk about disability. If you ask us, that's just not on. That's all for today. We hope the lovers of Netflix series Sex Education have enjoyed this video. If so, then do not forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Also, press the bell icon to get notified about amazing content.